I'm Graham Glynn, Assistant Provost and Executive Director for Teaching, Learning plus Technology at Stony Brook University, and this is Innovations in Education. In our show, we feature faculty and staff using innovative approaches and best practices to teaching and applications of educational technology that have had a positive effect on student learning. In this show, I'm joined by Edward O'Connell, who's an assistant clinical professor in the School of Health, Technology and Management, and we will be discussing how student focus groups can be used to help course design. Ed, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Graham.
Tell me a little bit about the courses you teach.
Yeah, Graham, I teach two. One is this, HAN 476, which is a 3-module, 5-week each course that breaks down safety subjects into the following: emergency preparedness and response. We have a health physics model, which would be radiation protection, and then we finish it off with an environmental auditing hazardous material piece. And then we follow that up at the same time. We have HAN 478, which is an internship program. So this is where we look to partner with local Long Island businesses, give our students real safety experience. These are seniors, so we're really part of that, transitioning them into, do they want to go into graduate field? Do they want to go into an actual career in safety? So we have great relationships with Cold Spring Harbor, Brookhaven National Laboratory, SD Lauder, Pole Corporation, our major hitters, and it winds up being a great win-win combination we have with the university and also with our businesses.
And how large are these classes?
Well, we've grown. 10 years ago, it was nice, 3 or 4. Was the ideal. I had my small focus group there. Over the years, though, I think we had some prompting from Dean Lehman. We had to get our numbers up, and of course the program has really grown in School of Health, Technology and Management. Last spring I was expecting 55, I had 78. Okay. So it really has grown, and kind of like, you know, what keeps one on their toes, and you have to.
So you must be doing something right.
Yeah, the program really has really grown. As I said, safety is really big. Certainly post 9/11, anything emergency preparedness. It's very topical, and it's timely.
Okay. So last spring you used the services of the Faculty Center to do some student focus groups. What prompted you to look at your course and make those changes?
One of the things over the changes, the way I would get my reports on the evaluations at the end of the year, I always thought it was very sort of retrospective. It was helpful, but I really wouldn't get the results from the evaluations till October, September. It's very late. So when I saw the little
5-6 months after
exactly,
the course.
And at that point, you know, even emergency preparedness, we like to have the hot wash. You like to get it right away. It's fresh. I want to make changes, and so I saw your little ad for small focus groups, midterm reviews. Had the aha moment, and I said, "Yeah, let me sign up for that," and it made a great connection.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about the process.
I was by myself in a workshop, but I had 2 of your colleagues. Ying was one of them, and I just told them what I was looking to get. At this point, I told them I have 5 weeks, and then I have these 3 5-week modules. It would be great after the first 5 weeks to have them come in and just direct. I want to get that feedback. It's a big lecture hall. Am I reaching everyone? They're seniors. You know, I really want to drill down a little bit, which is another factor I thought is weak on my evaluation at the end of the year. It's the last week, however we run it, it's anonymous. I like the idea of having your professionals, having people come in who really know what they're looking at. They can guide them. And I just got a better feel for my teaching style and just what they would like to see more of. So kind of like it was an indirect way to look at what they would prefer, and you know, it just gave me some real being prospective right away where I can make some changes.
So the educational assessment staff came into your class. They throw you out?
I'm out.
You're
so it's
out.
Anonymous. So,
okay.
You know.
And
so,
did they just ask what they wanted to, or did you work with them in crafting?
I worked with them. I crafted a note that tailor-made. These were, you know, some data. Of course, you know, leave it open for the students, whatever else they wanted to throw in as far as new business. But I did have some particular criteria, maybe focused a little bit on their learning styles indirectly, or maybe my teaching style, what I was emphasizing, or my point of view, or whatever biases. And what can I do to tweak that while there's still time? I still have a good 60% of the semester to go, and make those adjustments and make those changes, and so I get a better outcome.
Did you use the previous end of semester assessment to guide you in what you were trying to look at more closely?
I guess we kept an eye on that, but I was more concentrating on just the content and my style and what they were looking for, that tailor, you know, the customized tailor aspect.
Okay.
And it's a little different. You know, I do challenge them a little bit. We talk about they are people who are used to having a book. I do have one textbook, but a lot of it is documents, a lot of reading, and some different material. So I am stretching them a little bit, almost kind of like that preparation, which I feel is my role to get them ready for the real world as we transition. So they're used to changes, which I think are external, but really I'm trying to get them through the whole course. It's a transition. And whenever you're talking about transition, it's internal. And so I used really, in a sense, your people coming in to make a connection with a big group. I'm trying to get community in the learning center. It's difficult. It was nice when I had 12, when I had 15, even 20.
So you felt you had lost that connection because the class had grown and
It
you
really
didn't
has.
have a sense of how happy they were with how the course was progressing and how your teaching style worked for them and so on.
Not that I didn't get feedback, Graham, but it's the sense of, it's just the numbers. And I know they get lost. And I like the idea of they're used to working in groups, and I felt that they would be more open. I put myself out on the line a little bit, you know, it's a lot safer to wait till the end of the semester. I won't see these students ever again. But I opened up the course with saying, look, this is our course. I do not own this lecture board. I do not own this course. Try to have that collaboration. And again, looking for that experience where I don't want it to be painful for them or myself. And then we get that best outcome.
Okay. So a little bit more, I know you were thrown out of the room, but essentially, what did the staff do in the room in your absence?
So they would break them down. I had 80, so they'd have small groups, maybe about 10 or so, 7, however that number, 7, 8 in a group. They would break down, they had the questions, there would be an introduction, and then they would work with them with the answers and try to, was that exactly, how do they come up with the consensus? And then afterward, they collected the data, there would be a tabulation, and then I had a one-on-one, I had that debriefing that I was looking at.
So each of the groups, about 10 groups or so in the class, were given a set of questions. They had to discuss it among themselves with some guidance from the professional staff and come to a consensus answer on each question.
Right.
So that eliminated the factor of the one talkative student dominating the process.
Exactly, and I thought that's, you know, kind of is another advantage to what's happening at the end of the year evaluation, where it's just a single person's experience, and I thought I got more valuable data. Not that all points were kind of recorded, but then I would get this sort of a clumping, you know, what was a real evaluation. Also realized it's only 5 weeks into the semester, and I think one of the spins that I put on the small focus group, because I then said, let's repeat this. So after I had the debrief, I made these changes.
So before you go, the debrief, so the staff bring all the comments together to a single report, sit down with you and do a one-on-one with you, interpreting the information and discussing strategies?
That's right.
Okay.
So we took it to the next step. So I wasn't just, again, I'm not, my view in the beginning, I wasn't waiting till the end of the semester. I did have the sense of let's bring them back. So it's all about feedback. And students, you have that few that are going to let you know, and that's the pulse. But that's, again, large class, you have 80. You want to reach, you try to reach as many as possible. And especially those who aren't all that talkative, or maybe, you know, they have a certain experience of going through Stony Brook for 4 years. And I think in one sense, and it was a complimentary part of the debrief that came out, I think your staff was applauded, because it was one of the first times that during the mid-semester that they were asked.
So they just appreciated the fact that they were asked.
Exactly.
Okay.
Very small point, but I thought it helped me, part of that, I want to engage. So a lot of it, I can control my attitude. We talked about that. I certainly want to have it a best course I can put out there, a best world process learning sort of techniques. But it was this connection, trying to get that engagement.
Right.
And that's where I used the small focus group as a tool to do that. And more in a sense of being vulnerable and saying, look, you're looking to help this whole process, not only
and
just...
irrespective of if you made any changes or not, the fact that you cared enough to ask would probably have increased your rating for the course no matter what.
That was
obviously not the target, but a positive side effect.
Exactly right. So I saw it as, hey, this is worthwhile, and it didn't take a lot of time. It was like 15, 20 minutes. And then 5 weeks later, you know, of course, I was making these changes, and they weren't huge.
So you got the report, you sat down with the staff, and you decided to make some changes. Did you inform the students the changes and why they were being made?
Exactly. So I had my own debrief, and actually I used it as a training technique for safety. again, safety, you never stay. You're looking at tracking and trending. It's all about feedback. What can we do to continuous improvement? And part of the sidebar, certainly I'm always a Steve Covey kind of 7 habit, so being proactive is habit number 1. And even the habit number 7 is sharpen the saw. So this way, I'm saying, look, I can continue just doing the way I've always done this course, or I know that people will, get certain aspects or not. But I really have that welcome, being hospitable. Let's really have a dialogue. And these are the things that came out and where I can make changes.